Welcome to Mainland, your regional television station. I'm Chrissy Small, and some of the stories coming up in our Nelson Tasman Regional News Roundup. Counting up the region's hail damage, council not counting costs on burning issue, and the union queries reason behind disparaging wage rate, and more. This week is seeing growers around the Tasman coastal region tallying up the costs of Wednesday's hail damage. News reports after the storm suggested that local berry producers have seen the country's Christmas boysenberry supply nearly wiped out in Wednesday's hailstorm. So I spoke with our region's largest berry supplier, Tasman Bay Berries, Marie Holland, to see what the real damage actually is. I'm speaking with Marie Holland from Tasman Bay Berries. Now, Marie, it's been reported that you guys were hit quite hard. Is that correct?
Well, at the start we thought it was, but we've had a chance to assess what had happened as we've put all our machines through all our blocks last night, and we've got good news. It looks like there's only 95% of our fruit is unaffected by the hailstorm, so it's only been about 5%.
Right.
And that's because of damage that was done to only part of our Patton Road block. So we're very happy.
Well, I bet you are. Now this must have been of concern. As soon as the hailstones hit, you must have been shattered.
Well, I was up at Patton Road block and I got absolutely saturated as we were trying to get punnets and everything out of the storm. It was white up there. I just couldn't believe it. I've never been in such a hard hailstorm.
Well, it came with such...
Really fortunate.
Sorry.
Yeah, it came unexpected.
Yeah.
And we're really fortunate that we're geographically got our blocks in different places.
Well, so that must save you some... Yeah, so spreading them out in different areas, of course, you're kind of hedging your bets, aren't you, really?
Yes, that's right.
So, Marie, you're one of the biggest producers of boysenberries in the country, is that correct?
We are the biggest producers, yes. Right.
So this is, of course, when you reap what you sow coming up in the season. So do you know of any others that were affected by the storm?
As far as berries go?
Yes.
I'm not sure. I know Berrylands is fine. And I'm not sure of the others, I'm sorry.
So basically we can all expect to have our berries for Christmas.
Yes, all our Christmas orders will be met, and we still are taking through the orders till Monday, and our shops and the option to pick your own is still available.
Oh, well, that's good news for all those berry lovers out there, especially after the scare with the Hep A on the imported berries. So this is fabulous news. We don't have to look to China for more berries then.
That's right. So the article in the newspaper was incorrect. We are going to have berries for Christmas.
Great. Oh, Marie, we're all really delighted for you. So thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for ringing.
Wednesday's storm has also left the region's apple growers assessing the large amount of damage to the orchard blocks that is estimated to be running into the millions, with insurance claims starting to roll in. I caught up with one orchard owner, John Nicholson, on his Ruby Bay orchard to talk about the storm that day after the hail had hit the area. John Nicholson, the terrible damage caused from yesterday's hailstorm has been significant around the area.
Yes, it certainly has. It's gone right through from Ruwalka right through to Richmond virtually, especially along the coastal area.
Look, you know, some orchardists managed, like the Ruby Bay cherries, managed to get some nets over their trees. I mean, that was a small orchard, but for someone like yourself and other orchardists, that's not a practical solution?
It is, but it's very expensive, and on our Moutere Hills it's a lot more awkward to put up that framework and get the covers. They do use it in Motueka and Ruwalka with the flatter ground, but no, on the hills it's not really a practical situation.
Right. So John, we've got orchardists who have committed to purchasing new equipment for the season, that sort of thing. This kind of disaster must really affect them.
Yes, it does, and some are committed to carrying on because they need that equipment to process any of the good fruit that's still there. Sometimes with new equipment like tractors and sprayers, they put a hold on that sort of thing. So it affects not only the orchardists, it affects their businesses and the amount of people they employ and everything else right down the line.
Right, so look, we've got quite a few orchards that have been affected again. How do they cope financially with this sort of situation happening?
It is quite difficult. The ones with full insurance will continue to carry on. The others, it's hard to know at this stage, but
I suppose you're hearing a few heartbreaking stories out there.
we sure are. There's a lot of younger orchardists that are trying to carry on, and it's going to be quite hard for them. But overall, it's really quite hard for everybody.
Now, the spin-off from something like this, it just doesn't hurt the orchardists, it hurts the workers, but it goes right through to the community, doesn't it?
It sure does. If the orchardists put their checkbooks away, it affects all the businesses and everybody else. And as I said, if they have to put staff off, well, then those staff either have to find work somewhere else, or they don't have that extra cash.
Yeah. Now, we're in the middle of thinning season. How's this going to affect things?
I think there'll be a day or two while they assess what's going on. Those that think they can save quite a bit of the fruit, they will carry on and try and do something with it. Others will put staff off and say enough's enough.
Tell me about some of the damage that the fruit has sustained from this hailstorm.
It's quite bad. It's got several dings, as we call it, on the apples where they're badly bruised. It's dented right into the flesh, and that doesn't come out. And others have got quite bad cuts and it's broken the skin.
What happens to the fruit now, the damaged fruit, from here?
It'll continue to grow, of course, and a lot of people are probably at least halfway through their thinning, so it'll all go to processing.
Right, so we're talking about cannery and juicing, but is that a profitable way to deal with the fruit for the orchardists?
No, it's not, but at least it gets back the harvesting costs.
Right. So orchardists wait for all this time throughout the year. They prepare their trees, get them lovely and growing well and disease-free, prune them and then thin them, only to have this happen. It's got to be heartbreaking.
It sure is. It's but then I guess we're like most other farmers. Weather is something that we have to put up with, and you either stay with it or you get out.
For those of you Nelson residents that wanted a new log burner for Christmas, well, if you have a spare $11,000, not including consents or installation, you can, but it's only if you live in the airshed C or B2 areas. These airsheds in Atterfy and the Brook and Stoke have never breached the standards and remain well below the national limits. In a council meeting this week on the topic of wood burners, Councillor Skinner tried to have the option to put forward to allow compliant wood burners starting from the $1,300 range. However, Councillors Ackland, Lowry, Copeland, Ward, Fulton, McGurk and Rainey voted it down, possibly making them the Grinches that spoilt some people's Christmas. Some might see some irony as Councillors Ackland, Lowry and Fulton all have wood burners. Dr Ed Kittle spoke yet again about how every wood burner particulate in the air causes damage to humans in the long term. However, Dr Kittle, it seems, may not have concerns about pouring millions of particles out of his own log burner to keep him warm in winter. Moving from that debate to cast a vote on the next topic on the agenda was the motion to remove Councillor Eric Davey from the chair of the Transport Committee for failing to inform other councillors of his role in the NZTA Southern Link investigation. Once again, the group of councillors, nicknamed by ratepayer Jim Cable as the Secret Seven, had the knives out, with the majority ousting Councillor Davey from his spot with 7 votes to 6. Both Councillor Barker and Deputy Mayor Matheson said the motion was one of the worst personal attacks they had seen on a councillor in their time in local government. First Union's Rachel Boyack has been a very busy woman, having organised the picket of Bunnings in Stoke this week, and Graham O'Brien spoke to her about her latest concerns over low wages for foodstuff workers at New World, who are on less money than their North Island counterparts.
Rach, thanks for coming and joining us again today.
Morning.
Can you tell us a bit more about these ongoing negotiations with a different company this time?
Yes, we've had a busy week. So First Union has been negotiating with foodstuffs owners throughout the North Island over the past 3 years. So those are the owners of the Pack and Save and the New World supermarkets that you see around town and around the country. So we've been having some really good success in the North Island. Whenever we go and negotiate a new collective agreement, we tend to lift the wages up for those workers up to $2 an hour extra.
Right.
And so what that's doing is bringing them into parity with Countdown supermarkets, who have a nationwide collective agreement.
Sure.
So we're coming to the South Island. We've just had a successful recruitment drive here at Pack and Save in Richmond and New World Nelson. We've recruited over 80 workers across the two stores, and we've initiated collective bargaining. Now, we've been having some good conversations with the owners, although things took a slightly disappointing turn yesterday. So we began our across the table bargaining yesterday with the owner of the Nelson New World, Greg Guy. And his advocate told us that it was acceptable to pay lower wages here at Nelson New World because it's the South Island as opposed to the North Island. We challenged him on this. We gave him an opportunity to retract that statement. We told him we felt it was unacceptable, but after the opportunity to retract, they stuck to the statement that it's okay to pay workers in the South Island less than the North Island, and that they're not ashamed of the wages they pay.
And what was the rationale behind that? Like, is it cheaper to live in the South Island, they reckon, or the workers are not as good as the North Island workers?
Well, they explained it was because of the market.
Okay.
Yep, so we explained that obviously with a collective agreement they have an opportunity to then actually negotiate in good faith with the union, and that Countdown workers here in the South Island earn at least $2 an hour for the same job. So a checkout operator, for example, at a Countdown supermarket will be earning $2 more than a checkout operator at New World Nelson. Sure. And we just don't see any reason for that, and it's time for these supermarkets to come into line with the rest of the market, actually.
And it's not like they're going to be on a huge big money either, is it?
No, most of these workers are just very slightly above the minimum wage. Yeah. So you're looking at somewhere between, say, $15 and $15.50 an hour. Yeah. Whereas if you're a checkout operator at Countdown supermarkets next year, you'll be on $17.17 after 6 months. And then we'll be into negotiating another increase there before Christmas. So they're well ahead of where their New World counterparts are.
Wow, and no doubt with you on the job, they'll be coming up to meet those standards.
Well, in terms of what's happening next, is we do have a rather out of the box approach when we're dealing with these workers, with these employers. So we have a 6 metre blow up rat that we put outside the supermarket, which sends a pretty strong message to the community that the owner, who makes mega profits, multi-million-dollar profits every year, this owner is not willing to bargain with the union and negotiate. And so we're looking at a date in January where we might be bringing the rat to Nelson and holding some form of action.
Wow.
So watch this space.
Yeah, well, sure. Rachel, thanks very much for the update on that, and thanks for all the work that you're doing on behalf of the workers.
Thanks, Graham.
Cheers.
Mapua residents and boat club members packed into the Mapua Hall on Monday night to hear representatives from council present their side of the boat ramp issue. Mapua and District's Community Association Chairwoman Eleanor Meredith hosted the standing room only public forum on the issue an hour before the association's regular meeting. Ward councillors Trevor Norris and Brian Ensell spoke at the meeting, along with TDC Transportation Manager Gary Clark and TDC Commercial Manager Jean Cooper, followed by Mapua Boat Club member Martin Barlow, who was received by an enthusiastic audience and whose desire for the club to have a say was the catalyst for the meeting.
So just to recap, health and safety report telling us we had to effectively close the wharf for traffic and manage that risk. pointed today is actually to get the issues out there as they actually stand. So first of all, it's not closed, it will be restricted. Those are the restrictions based on the activities that we have now. I think the next thing is there's the discussion about existing use rights that belong to the boat club. And I think there was existing use rights when it was swapped over in 87, 88, 89 from the Harbour Board effectively. But that expired in 2001 and they haven't been in place for the last 2 leases that you've got in place. I think also watching the Mainland TV and position that was there, it was good to see a boat club member actually say it is a risky place, it is dangerous. But apart from that issue, I think there was mention that the council have made an offer to the boat club to move premises. Not correct. As it stands today, there's no offer on any table. There hasn't been any discussion. And I think the fourth issue for me is that I think there's been this discussion point, there just hasn't been any communication or consultation with the community, and that is just not correct. So through that advisory board, this issue's been on the table for 9 to 10 months. And so if you're sitting there and said, I haven't heard enough, it's because for all intents and purposes you need to have a discussion inside the boat club as to why that information is not being levelled back into the boat club.
Okay, so the boat club weren't able to arrange a meeting with our 3 ward councillors to discuss a solution to the boat ramp access. So we accepted this opportunity for members and the Sea Scouts who have been completely overlooked with the restricted access we now have as a result of the commercialisation at the Mapua Wharf precinct. First, a bit of history, just to remind us why we still have a wharf, boat ramp and boating activity here in Mapua. Boating activity, which I think you'd have to agree, helped give Mapua some of its uniqueness and aesthetic values that make us want to live here and keep Mapua as our home. In 87, the Harbour Board was going to dismantle the wharf. Neither the Harbour Board or the TDC had any interest in it, and so the Mapua Boat Club stepped forward and offered to maintain the wharf and was granted a lease along with approval to build a boat ramp alongside the wharf. Contrary to comments from some quarters, the boat club did not have sole or exclusive access to the boat ramp. Anyone could and did use it. You might remember the estuary jet boat tours that used to operate from there. Kayakers use it, of course the Sea Scouts use it, and cyclists in the ferry have used it. Over the last 10 or 12 years, access has slowly been restricted through the removal of the dinghy rack on the wharf, removal of trailer parking at the boat ramp, and a lack of manoeuvrability as commercial activity expanded. The conflict's been created by the TDC, endorsed by our councillors, not acting upon the concerns of the boat club and the boating community, who have preferred to allow the slow and continuous creep of commercial interests at the wharf. This slow creep has now reached a full crescendo with a $1.4 million TDC investment in Shed 4 and has now resulted in access restrictions to all vehicles. Dean Cooper's also stated to the Mapua Boat Club that, and I quote, "Boat clubs throughout the country do not have access directly to the wharf. They move gear through marinas to get to their boat, and in this instance it's no different. I think we're putting up obstacles for the sake of it sometimes." And let me say right here, we're not putting up obstacles for the sake of it, as this development has now proven. The fact is, this slow creep and conflict has seen pressure shift to Grossie Point, where up to 40 plus trailer rigs can be on any given morning or evening at this time of the year when the snapper are in the bay. The Grossie Point pressure has now resulted in conflict between picnickers, swimmers, walkers and neighbours, all to satisfy the commercial growth at the expense of our community. The question to Mr Cooper, when will health and safety trump this? For now, council seem okay with this conflict and forget about health and safety and the damage to the reserve at Grossie's Point, as they have allocated $80,000 to develop Grossie Point. Yet on the TDC website boat ramp list, it refers to Grossie Point as subject to significant tidal effects and may be usable only on a high tide with local knowledge. The best time to go swimming at Grossie Point? Yep, high tide.
I really want to acknowledge that this issue is far bigger than an hour's discussion can deal with. All we've done is pull it open and have a look. In terms of the Community Association, I will undertake to make sure that in the next few minutes that is on our agenda, and we discuss how we will do that. We've got connections with Martin. We can join in with Jeff and I presume the Sea Scouts, and if there are other people that would like to be part of that particular working group, then obviously something like this, the more people we can have that are actually putting a focus on it, the better.
Mainland TV News will be taking a break over Christmas and New Year. We will be returning to you with more news for next year from January the 11th, 2016. Have a safe and happy Christmas New Year period, and we'll leave you now with some of this year's news highlights.
Happy New Year, Nelsonians. I'm back.
All the money is going into community rugby at the grassroots. We're aiming to try and hit 5,000 school children by the end of October.
It's going to be exciting.
The civic building looks like a Saturn rocket crashed and got left there with some scaffolding around it.
Love it. I love it. Where else do you get a job where you get committed and motivated young fellas trying to be better?
I really do wish everybody a very happy Christmas. So whatever your situation within the district and the region, hope you have a wonderful time. Hope the weather's nice and have a great time this Christmas.
After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.
From all the team here at Mainland, we would like to wish you and your family a wonderful summer season and holiday, and we hope that you'll take time out to spend a few special moments with your friends and family.
Why would you want to pay as much as $1,000 for a single bed mattress when you can buy a high quality locally made mattress like this for as little as $220? And a queen size mattress could cost you in excess of $3,000, but at Nelson Beds you could have a mattress like this as low as $425. So why would you go out and spend a fortune on your child's bedroom when you can come to Nelson Beds and buy a complete single mattress and base set, a 7-drawer Scotch chest, a headboard and a 3-drawer bedside cabinet for as little as $979? So call and discuss our custom manufacturing options and local after sales service at Nelson Beds, Nelson's only bedding manufacturer.
Welcome to Smugglers Pub and Cafe, open 7 days a week with free parking all day. Our lunch menus have that fat old-fashioned flavour where we treat you like treasure with the food you'll savour.
We cater for children, grannies and granddads too, with special rates and privileges given to the elderly lunchtime crew. Our staff are friendly and kind and want to see you all come back time after time.
Daytime or evening, it doesn't matter. Give us a call on 546 4084 and we'll be happy to spoil ya.
Sit and Be Fit is on at the Victory Community Centre Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. at the Victory Community Church, 238 Upper Vanguard Street.
On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News, thanks once again for joining us.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
Nelson Tire Centre. Great prices, great service. Buy your own Bryford trailer. All types, all sizes. See Colin Douglas for your tires and batteries.
Welcome me hearties to Smugglers Pub and Cafe, famous for hearty meals, craft ales and a friendly service way. Sensational seasonal menus with meals all day and evening too, or sail in for a snack with special menus for young smugglers and you. Settle in for a jolly old time, relax and enjoy our award-winning dining and a lovely fine wine. Decked out in an old worldly way, we're open 7 days. Book or come on in to 8 Muritai Street, not far from a beach, walk or swim. Phone 5464 084.